Hi there, it's Melissa and welcome back to my channel. So today is my first layout for the Confessions of a Paper Addict Cutfiles design team, and I'm using the Star Banner cut file. I've cut it on grey cardstock because I wanted to do something a bit different than my normal cutting things on white cardstock. I've got a photo of my son. He went to we do jiu-jitsu, 4 of us in our family of 6 do it, and he went to the nationals and it was no gi, which means that you're not wearing a gi, you're just wearing like a rash guard and tights or shorts, and he got a silver medal. So I had to document this, and I was really keen to do a boy layout because I naturally gravitate towards girly things, and yeah, I wanted to use this paper in particular from Paige Evans' Whimsical Collection. I'm using the April Hip Kit, and I think this must be the most beautiful paper I've ever seen. I've seen so many amazing layouts being made with it, and so what I decided to do was cut out the outer edge. It's got 3 different, not layers, but it goes in 3 parts with each of the rainbow colours, and so I decided to use the outer edge to back my stars. And it's easy when the paper is large, like this green one, but as you can see next to it, there are smaller pieces. Yeah, so it was a bit of a challenge because I had to make sure that I was strategic with placing my photo, and sometimes I had to kind of not Frankenstein it, but put 2 together and not worry too much if you could see the join line. And I wanted to go in the order around those rainbow patterns, so I wanted to stick with the order that the paper had been made in. If that makes sense, it probably makes no sense at all, but you'll see what I mean as I go. So I started with the green, and then the next pattern and colour was another green, and so you end up with all these shades that equal the rainbow. And I just love this paper. I love how it turned out. So yeah, you'll see what I mean straight away. Like, there's no way that that little triangle is going to cover the entire star. So as I was making this, I was thinking, what could I do? Do I embellish, like for example on the corner of that star? And in the end I decided, no, I've just got to cut and paste and hope that it doesn't really matter. So that's the thing, isn't it? We all try to be perfectionists, but in the end, when other people look at our work, they're not going to notice that I glued, an extra bit and there's a join line. Anyway, so I'm just showing you some progress. So I started by tracing or sketching around the stars and doing it bigger than the actual star so that it would be able to be glued down. But then I decided to resort to Virginia's way of backing cut files, which is actually, if it's an easy shape like this, just to glue the paper on and then trim it out. And I find this Scotch glue, I'm really not happy with it. If you've watched my videos for a while, you know that I'm battling with it. I've ordered some Tombow off my friend that sells Stampin' Up because I've really had enough of it. If it's not coming out in big globs, it's getting blocked, and then I find like when it dries I can slightly see it. So what I would do was place, like I've done with the pink, place them down, let them dry, work on another star, and then trim them out when they're a bit dry. So yeah, this was still a relaxing process. I enjoyed it, and most of all I'm really happy with how it turned out. So sometimes I find that if you put a bit more effort in, you're happier with the result. So yeah, at this stage I was just thinking about having it on white cardstock. I'd gone through the kit and tried to select a pattern paper because I quite like that at the moment, but in the end it was just too much, and so it looked really good on white. And I decided though that I didn't want to, I'm not a big mixed media scrapbooker, but I love the look of mixed media. The warping gets to me, but if I don't go overboard, then I'm quite happy with the result. So I decided to kind of colour match the rainbow and use my watercolours to put some like packaging, with the packaging technique, put it behind my stars. Now, I'm a bit lazy. I should have used gesso, but I didn't because I was in a hurry, as I always am when I'm making videos. And because I wasn't going to be going overboard with water and different layers of mixed media, it didn't matter. So you'll see there that one of those pink stars I didn't fill in because I knew the photo would be sitting on top of it, and it worked really well because once again I would have had to have cut, I guess, had a join line. So what I did there was put a wee dot where each of the stars were going to be placed, and then I went through with my pencil and I put the colour, like I put like a little, like I'd write B for blue or whatever, just so I knew. So there I have come in with the green, and I've got that banner above my mat, just out of screen there, out of shot. So I was looking at the colours of the stars, the paper inside the stars, and then trying to colour match the watercolour behind each of them. So yeah, moving on to yellow. And I just love how this turned out. I think with mixed media, the thing is just to have a go and not be scared. Because often, like, it can look like a hot mess, but then it gets covered up anyway, and by the time you add embellishment, you're often happy with it. Well, I am anyway. So it's a good start for me. I want to do a bit more of this, and yeah, like I say, I loved it. So, yep, just going through here. Sorry, it probably sounds like I can't talk properly. I'll tell you a bit about me. In case you haven't, been on my channel before, so I've got 4 kids ranging in ages from 12 down to 2. I'm also a town planning consultant, and it's quite I guess it's a stressful job, but I've been doing it for so long, but it's a very challenging, challenges the brain. And I also do jiu-jitsu. I have been doing that for 9 months, and I just went to class tonight, and that's also quite challenging for the brain and physically challenging as well. So if it sounds like I can't talk, it's just because my brain has been stretched today, which is good. So now I'm just positioning that back on to see how it looks, and this has got quite a thin cut, as you can see, for the banner, and so there my glue has done its thing again and done a big blob. But I've got to keep going. I don't have any other glue at the moment other than a liquid glass or a glossy accents, and that's not going to work for what I'm wanting to do. So my technique here is to glue the top banner, and then I'm gluing the second one. And then you'll see that before I glue the third one, I've just put a little pop dot behind that little pink star, because my intention is to pop up all of the stars, I think, except the ones that are underneath my photo. So I needed some dimension to be added to this layout, and that's the best way that I could think to do it. So it has a double purpose in adhering them as well. So just going through really quickly, and I think these ones are, yeah, probably from Spotlight here in New Zealand. You can probably get them in Australia too. They are just little circles, and once you've used the circles, you can actually cut apart the backing and use that as a foam dimensional adhesive as well. And I forgot to say that I used some Studio Calico Mr. Huey's in white. I just wanted something extra on my watercolour. I considered gold, but it's not really in the kit. And I didn't want to add black because I didn't want to take away from the grey of the banner. And I think the white looks nice against the colour with a white background. So it just adds a little bit more. So I had to use a couple of glue bottles there to hold down those stars. And now I am wanting to back my photo. Now I'm not wanting to back it with anything too full on. It's got a white border. And if I don't print it with a white border, I just use some white cardstock. And then this paper is a Paige Evans whimsical one that I thought would be hard to use. But if you think outside of the box, and think, I'm probably not going to use that as a background, but as a photo mat on a very busy, colourful page, it actually is quite subtle and works really well. So I was happy with that. I did think about using the other side as well, but bearing in mind that I am placing my photo near the blue stars, so it might have been a bit too much. So I am out of camera shot here again, sorry, but I will realise that soon. These are the whimsical ephemera. You get two packages in the one package. So I'm going through the larger ones, and I was thinking about colour matching. I quite liked that journaling spot there, and I quite liked how that looked, and I nearly cut it in half because I was going to save the other half for something else. And then I went through trying to find something pink, and I found that journaling spot, and I did like how that looked, but I decided it was a bit much and I'd save them for something else. So these are some layered embellishments from Dear Lizzie. I can't remember the name of the collection, but there was a little camera in there. Originally I had thought about using the balloons as well, but I think the colours of them are not quite the same as the colours of the paper, and I didn't really want to compete on this layout. So these are the Dear Lizzie stickers, and I love this Keep On Being You, because the focus of the page is not so much that he got the silver medal, but more about his character and the way he conducts himself in a very mature and humble manner, which is part of jiu-jitsu actually. It really trains you to be humble and disciplined, because you do get beaten a lot. Like, when I say beaten, it's not a striking martial art, it's like a grappling submission martial art. So there are times where you might win, and there are other times, many more times, where other people will beat you. So it keeps you very grounded and humble. And I thought that was perfect. And I was going to keep that as my title, Keep On Being You. Before I get on to what I actually do call this layout, I put an anchor in there because I love the fact that he's very grounded, and I think that's a really important trait, and to have it as a young child or young boy is great. So that's what it means. It won't mean anything to anyone else, but it means something to me. So I also colour matched the green and the pink with the bird and the moth. And then when he was up in Auckland for this tournament, he came home, this is my son, I'm talking about Sam, came home with a patch for his gi that said "You can't teach heart," and I thought that is the perfect title for this layout. Rather than Sam got a silver medal, or just calling it silver medal, I really push myself with my titles these days, and I thought that was the perfect title. That's Ava trying to help me there. I had to add the little is it apostrophe, because I can't handle, as a writer for a job, I can't handle grammar that's not correct. But yeah, I thought that was a perfect title because it said more about his character, I guess, than just the fact he got a silver medal. So I'm just adding my journaling, and probably, I can't remember what I wrote, but it'll be along the lines of what I just told you. And yeah, I just want to say thank you to Virginia for having me on the team. We just started in May. It's a lovely, talented bunch of ladies. Make sure that you do check on Instagram as to who else is in the design team, and follow the videos as well. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again soon.